In this video, we're going to learn even more uses for the genitive case in Latin. This video comes from the Vulgate course by William Dodds. This is lesson number 98. Alright, there are certain verbs that automatically use the genitive. A lot of those verbs, according to William Dodds, are verbs that signify pity, remembering, and forgetting. In section 98, he says verbs that signify pity, remembering, and forgetting usually govern the genitive, and then he gives some examples. Here's our first one. As a father pities his children. This is also from the New Testament. Most of his examples are from the New Testament, and this is a fragment, of course, but we can still break it apart. Father, subject of the sentence, nominative case, does what? He pities. That's the verb. It's an action verb because the subject is actually performing the action. And he pities what? His children. Children receive the action, so they are the direct object, and they go into the accusative case. Whose children? His children. That's a possessive pronoun, and it's an adjective. Also goes into the accusative case, unless we're using eius, which we'll talk about another time. Then we still have the article adjective, which Latin doesn't have, and then this word as. As here is signifying to what extent the father pities his children. And of course you need the rest of the verse to figure out how a father pities his children. But for now we'll just identify this as an adverb, diagram it, and move on. So, were we to diagram this sentence, we would end up with the subject on the subject side, father. What's he doing? He's pitying. He pities. What does he pity? His children. Okay, so we have the subject, the verb, and a direct object. Whose children? His children. A father. So we have a father pities his children, and we'll put the adverb underneath the verb. As a father pities his children. Okay? And now all we have to do is translate this into Latin. For as, which actually in William Dodd's book he has like as, he translates this as quomodo. Quomodo means how or as. This is where the Spanish get como. Como estás? How are you? In Latin, quomodo estis. There's other ways to say how are you. Typically people use quid agis, but you could say quomodo estis, and that's where the Spanish get como estás. Enough about that. Quomodo means how, and the verb he places next, miser etur, as a father pities his children. So we have quomodo miseretur, we have as pities. Now we need father, which of course is pater. That's easy. Quomodo miseretur pater, and then we need children. And in his book, William Dodds uses the generic son, filius, and turns it into filiorum. It's probably based on a New Testament translation. You could use liberorum as well. This is more the classical word. Quomodo miseretur pater filiorum, or quomodo miseretur pater liberorum. And of course this is genitive, which is driven by this verb, because verbs of pitying, remembering, and forgetting typically govern the genitive. Let's look at another example. Here we have this sentence, remember your Creator. Remember, all these sentences come from the New Testament because this is the Vulgate course. Who's the subject of this sentence? Actually, this is a command, which means that you are the subject of the sentence. This is an understood subject pronoun. So we'll put S here, and SP here for subject pronoun, and in here for nominative. What are you to do? You are to remember. Remember is the verb. What are you to remember? You are to remember your Creator. Does Creator receive the action? Yes, because you're remembering the Creator. So the Creator is a direct object and goes into the accusative case. Whose Creator? Your Creator. This is a possessive pronoun that's also an adjective, and it also goes into the accusative case. Okay, were we to diagram it, we would end up with this. You on the subject side, but it's understood. It's not actually in the sentence, so we'll put it in a parenthetical phrase. You what? You remember. Remember what? Remember creator. Direct object always goes on the main line after a short line to the main line. Creator. You remember your creator. Okay, in Latin. Memento, that's the command for remember. Memento, which is actually an English word, something that is a something that is a memento is something that helps us remember an event or a place in our lives. Memento, okay, remember that memento, since it's a verb of remembering, we'll push the next word into the genitive case. So we have creator, creator, but we've got to put it in the genitive case, so it becomes creatoris. Memento creatoris. Now all we need is your, which will also be in the genitive case. Your. Memento creatoris tui. Memento creatoris tui. One last sentence. They have forgotten the Lord their God. Subject of the sentence is actually a pronoun. Subject, pronoun, nominative case. What have they done? They have forgotten. Forgotten is the main verb. Have is a helping verb. The whole thing is an action verb because who's performing the action? The subject is they. What have they done? They've forgotten. Remember, verbs of forgetting typically govern the genitive case. They have forgotten whom? They have forgotten the Lord. He received the action. He was forgotten. Direct object, accusative case. Now we have this phrase, their God, which actually renames or not describes, it actually renames or identifies this direct object. When a noun identifies or renames or explains another noun, that is an appositive. So we'll put that in parenthetical phrase, and then we'll just write A-P-P-O-S for appositive underneath. Whose God? Their God. That's a possessive pronoun. It's going to be in the accusative case. Both of these are in the accusative case because the appositive is actually modifying Lord or renaming Lord, and Lord is in the accusative case. That means that this subject pronoun, or that this pronoun, there will also be in the accusative case. And then we have the, which is an article adjective. This is kind of a long lesson. Sorry about this, guys. Okay, they've done what? They have forgotten. What have they forgotten? They have forgotten Lord. What do we do with an appositive? First of all, let's finish the Lord. Let's finish that part first. What do we do with the appositive? Same thing that we did with it up in the sentence. We just put a parenthetical phrase on the main line, or parentheses on the main line, and then put the appositive in it, right behind the noun it's describing. And of course, there is describing God, so we put it right underneath there. Now all that's left is to translate this long sentence into Latin. So here we go. They have forgotten. Obliti or obliti sunt. Explain why it's passive another time. It's a deponent verb. Obliti sunt Domini. Did I spell that correctly? Yes. Domini Dei. Okay? It's because it's a verb of forgetting, Domini Dei is in the genitive case. Obliti sunt Domini Dei, and then all we need is this verb, or this word, this pronoun, there. Obliti sunt Domini Dei sui. Also in the genitive case. So, verbs of pitying, verbs of remembering, verbs of forgetting typically govern the genitive case. And by that I mean that if you use a verb of pity, remembering, and forgetting, then the verb, or the noun, the object is going into the genitive case. Or just watch for the genitive case. Alright, long lesson, sorry about that. If you like this and you learned from it and you want to learn more, You know what to do. I'll see you next time, my friends.